The bruises on Zara Adams' face told a story of pain that she tried desperately to hide beneath a layer of powder as she stared at her reflection in the cracked mirror. The year was 1878, and Whispering Pines, Arizona territory, was as unforgiving as the man she had married 3 years ago. She flinched at the sound of the front door slamming, signaling that her husband, Thomas, had finally left for his weekly poker game in town. Only then could she breathe. Zara gently touched the purple mark blooming on her cheekbone, wincing at the tenderness. Thomas had been particularly angry last night after losing at cards. His hands, once gentle when they'd courted, now left marks that told the truth of her marriage. At 23, Zara had already lived a lifetime of sorrow. Orphaned at 16, she'd married Thomas at 20, believing his promises of protection and prosperity. The small ranch he owned had seemed like paradise compared to working as a seamstress in other people's homes. But paradise had quickly revealed itself to be a prison. She moved to the window, looking out at the vast expanse of land that surrounded their modest home. In the distance, the mountains stood tall and proud against the azure sky. Freedom seemed so close, yet impossibly far away. Thomas controlled everything: the money, the supplies, and her every movement. He'd even taken to locking her in when he left for extended periods, claiming it was for her protection. Today, in his drunken haste, he'd forgotten to secure the lock, an oversight that presented an opportunity Zara had been waiting for. With trembling hands, she began to gather her few belongings: a dress, a hairbrush, a small photograph of her parents, and the silver locket they had given her for her 16th birthday, the last gift before influenza had taken them both. She wrapped these treasures in a shawl and tied it securely. Her heart pounded as she stepped outside, feeling the warm May sunshine on her face. She had no plan, no destination, just the desperate need to escape. Thomas wouldn't be back until dawn. He never was when the gambling was good, which gave her a head start. Zara walked with purpose toward the main road, hoping to catch a ride on a passing wagon. The nearest town was 10 miles away, too far to walk in her condition. Her ribs ached with each step, a reminder of Thomas's rage 3 nights ago. The sound of hoofbeats made her heart skip with both hope and fear. She stepped to the side of the dirt road as a wagon approached, driven by Mrs. Porter, the elderly widow who ran the general store in town. "Zara Adams, what are you doing out here all alone?" Mrs. Porter pulled her wagon to a stop, her kind eyes widening as she took in Zara's appearance. The older woman had always been perceptive, and Zara suspected she knew more about her situation than she let on. "I need to get to town, Mrs. Porter. Could I trouble you for a ride?" Zara asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Mrs. Porter's gaze lingered on the partially concealed bruise. "Climb on up, child." During the ride, Zara kept her eyes fixed on the horizon, silently rehearsing what she would say when people asked questions. Mrs. Porter didn't pry, but Zara could feel her concerned glances. "Where will you go?" the older woman finally asked as they neared town. "I don't know," Zara admitted. "I just need to get away." Mrs. Porter nodded thoughtfully. "My sister runs a boarding house in Silver Leaf, about 50 miles east of here. It's a growing town, with the silver mine bringing in folks from all over. She might have work for you." Hope flickered in Zara's chest for the first time in months. "Do you think I could get there?" "The stagecoach passes through tomorrow morning. I can help you secure passage." Mrs. Porter patted Zara's hand gently. "You can stay with me tonight." Whispering Pines was a small town consisting of a main street lined with wooden storefronts, a church, a schoolhouse, and scattered homes. As they rode down the dusty main street, Zara kept her head down, avoiding the curious gazes of the townsfolk. Everyone knew everyone in Whispering Pines, and news traveled faster than wildfire. The general store owned by Mrs. Porter stood at the edge of town, with living quarters attached to the back. The widow helped Zara down from the wagon and led her inside through the back entrance, away from prying eyes. "You rest now," Mrs. Porter said, showing Zara to a small but clean bedroom. "I'll bring you some supper later." Left alone, Zara sat on the edge of the bed, her small bundle of belongings beside her. The magnitude of what she was doing hit her all at once. She was leaving everything she knew, fleeing from the man who had vowed to love and protect her. Fear and doubt crept in, whispering that perhaps she deserved Thomas's treatment, that she wasn't good enough, that she would fail on her own. She shook her head firmly. No. She would rather face uncertainty than spend another day beneath his fists. That night, Zara slept fitfully, startling awake at every sound, convinced Thomas had discovered her absence and come looking for her. But morning arrived without incident, and Mrs. Porter helped her prepare for her journey. "Take this," the older woman said, pressing a small pouch into Zara's hand. The weight of coins made Zara's eyes widen. "Mrs. Porter, I can't—" "You can and you will," Mrs. Porter insisted. "Consider it payment for all the times you mended my dresses. Besides, my Herbert wouldn't want me to turn away someone in need. He always had a soft heart for those suffering injustice." Tears filled Zara's eyes. "I don't know how to thank you." "Live well, that's thanks enough." Mrs. Porter embraced her gently. "I've written a letter to my sister explaining your situation. Her name is Harriet Miller. She's expecting you." The stagecoach arrived promptly at 9 o'clock, a dusty conveyance pulled by 4 sturdy horses. The driver, a weathered man named Jenkins, helped Zara aboard after Mrs. Porter paid her fare. There were 3 other passengers, a traveling salesman with a case of trinkets, a young man headed to work at the silver mine, and an elderly gentleman returning home after visiting family. Zara chose a seat by the window, clutching her small bundle to her chest. As the coach lurched forward, she gazed out at the town that had been her prison for 3 years. A mixture of fear and exhilaration filled her as the buildings receded into the distance. She was leaving behind everything familiar, but also the pain and despair that had become her daily existence. The journey was long and uncomfortable. The May sun beat down relentlessly, turning the coach into an oven despite the open windows. Dust filtered in, coating everything with a fine layer of grit. The road was rough, each bump sending jolts of pain through Zara's bruised body. By midday, they stopped at a small way station for a meal and to change horses. Zara ate sparingly, conscious of the need to conserve her limited funds. The young miner noticed her hesitation and offered her half of his bread. "Name's Charlie," he said with a friendly smile. "First time traveling to Silverleaf?" Zara nodded, grateful for his kindness, but wary of sharing too much information. "It's a good town," Charlie continued, growing fast with the silver mine, bringing in folks from all over. Plenty of opportunity for those willing to work hard. His words reinforced Zara's hope that she might find a new beginning there. As they continued their journey, the landscape changed, transitioning from open desert to rolling hills dotted with scrub pine and juniper. Late afternoon brought dark clouds gathering on the horizon, and by the time they reached the next way station, rain was falling in heavy sheets. "We'll stay here for the night," Jenkins announced. "Road gets treacherous in this weather. We'll push on to Silverleaf at first light." The way station was little more than a large cabin with a common room, a small kitchen, and several sleeping rooms with multiple bunks. Zara was directed to a room she would share with the station keeper's wife, a no-nonsense woman named Martha, who asked no questions but provided a clean nightgown and a basin of warm water. Alone in the small room, Zara washed away the dust of travel, carefully avoiding her bruises. As she changed into the borrowed nightgown, she caught sight of her reflection in a small mirror hanging on the wall. The bruise on her cheek had darkened, a stark reminder of why she had fled. The rain continued through the night, a constant drumming on the roof that matched the rhythm of Zara's anxious thoughts. What if Thomas came looking for her? What if life in Silverleaf proved no better? What if she couldn't find work? Morning brought clearing skies and renewed determination. After a simple breakfast of cornmeal porridge and coffee, the passengers reboarded the coach for the final leg of their journey. The rain had transformed the landscape, bringing vibrant green to the desert plants and filling the air with the scent of wet earth. By mid-morning, the coach crested a hill, and Silverleaf came into view in the valley below. It was larger than Whispering Pines, with several streets branching off from the main thoroughfare. The silver mine was visible on a nearby hillside, with men and equipment moving about like ants from Zara's distant vantage point. As they descended into town, Zara felt a curious mixture of trepidation and hope. This was it, her chance at a new life. The stagecoach stopped in front of the Silver Dollar Hotel, which also served as the stage depot. Jenkins helped Zara down, tipping his hat as she thanked him for the safe journey. With directions from a helpful passerby, she made her way to Harriet Miller's boarding house, A two-story structure painted a cheerful yellow with white trim. A bell tinkled as Zara opened the front door, stepping into a tidy parlor furnished with comfortable-looking chairs and a sofa. A plump woman in her 60s emerged from a back room, wiping her hands on an apron. "May I help you, dear?" she asked, her kind face reminding Zara of Mrs. Porter. "Are you Mrs. Miller? I'm Zara Adams. Your sister Mrs. Porter sent me." Zara held out the letter with trembling fingers. Recognition dawned in Harriet's eyes. "Oh, yes, Eleanor sent a telegram yesterday. I've been expecting you." She took the letter, but didn't open it immediately. Instead, she studied Zara's face, her gaze lingering briefly on the bruise that makeup could not fully conceal. "You must be exhausted from your journey. Come, I'll show you to your room, and then we can talk over some tea." The room was small but clean and bright, with a single bed, a dresser, a washstand, and a window overlooking a garden in the back of the house. After showing Zara where to find fresh water and towels, Harriet left her to settle in, promising tea in the parlor when she was ready. Alone in the room that would be her new home, Zara carefully unpacked her few belongings, arranging them in the dresser drawers. She washed her face and hands, combed her long, dark hair, and changed into her spare dress, feeling somewhat refreshed despite her exhaustion. When she descended to the parlor, Harriet had a tea tray ready, complete with sandwiches and cookies. The older woman waited until Zara had eaten before bringing up the reason for her arrival. "Eleanor's telegram was brief, but I gather you're in some difficulty," Harriet said gently. "She mentioned you might need work as well as accommodation." Zara nodded, her throat tight. "Yes, I had to leave my husband. She couldn't bring herself to say more. Harriet reached across the table and patted her hand. "You don't need to explain, dear. I can see well enough what kind of man he was." She paused, her expression softening. "My first husband was cut from the same cloth. I know what it means to fear the sound of boots on the porch." Zara's eyes filled with tears at this unexpected understanding. "I didn't know where else to go." "You did the right thing coming here," Harriet assured her. "Now, as for work, I could use help running this place. I have 8 rooms, usually all filled with minors or travelers. There's cleaning, laundry, cooking, plenty to keep you busy if you're willing." "I am," Zara said quickly. "I'm a hard worker, and I can cook and sew." "Good. In exchange, you'll have room and board, plus a small wage. It's not much, but it's a start." Harriet smiled warmly. "And more importantly, it's safe. No one will find you here unless you want to be found." For the first time in years, Zara felt a genuine sense of relief. She had a roof over her head, work to do, and someone who understood her situation without judgment. It wasn't freedom exactly. She would still need to be cautious, still need to look over her shoulder, but it was a beginning. The days at Harriet's boarding house fell into a comfortable rhythm. Zara woke early to help prepare breakfast for the boarders, then spent the morning cleaning rooms and doing laundry. Afternoons were devoted to preparations for the evening meal, which Harriet served promptly at 6 o'clock. The work was hard but satisfying, and Harriet proved to be a kind employer who noticed when Zara needed rest. The boarders were mostly men who worked at the silver mine, though there were occasionally travelers passing through. They were generally respectful, particularly after Harriet made it clear that Zara was under her protection. Still, Zara kept to herself, avoiding lengthy conversations and declining the few invitations she received to social gatherings in town. 2 weeks passed, then a month. The bruises on Zara's body faded, but the wariness in her eyes remained. She jumped at loud noises and tensed whenever the door opened unexpectedly.